This is my post-fight reaction to Francis Ngannou first. Renan Ferreira. Oh, this was a good fight. Hey, I told everybody, Francis Ngannou taking them boxing gloves off. He was gonna be basically let out of the cage, if you can say. He came out of this fight on fire. Quick takedown from the press him against the cage. Had Renan very shook up early on. Didn't know the power was gonna be there like that. Yeah, Francis Ngannou has been boxing lately, so for him to be back in his natural habitat in the cage, like you said before, he's unbeatable in there. And the striking and the way he was able to sink his hips, I think his hips is the most important part of this fight because Renan, he had a good ground game as far as his defense. It was hard for Francis to land some shots. Felt like a couple of those shots was kind of behind, but I don't know. He was reaching around, catching him on the chin on most shots, so I can't really complain. But man, he was throwing some heat, and a lot of people had Renan in this fight. I can see why, but I couldn't see why they was leaning that way. Not because that's Francis or anything, but a lot of people was going with the underdogs in the fight today. I was leaning towards that way, but that experience plays a huge part. Not because these people aren't legends or anything, but when you're a guy like Francis and you jump from one sport and then you jump back to your other sport that you've naturally been in, that you've been looking for certain opponents at, and then you find a good opponent and you're able to showcase your abilities, you're gonna go all out. And that's what he showed. Throw some huge shots, put him out on the ground. As soon as he took him down, put him out on the ground. I'm talking about ground and pound, that was it. It was a wrap. I felt like Renan should have tried to he should have tried to get up or turn over or something. I think him turning his back and just putting the fight in that position. I know Francis is a big guy, he had a lot of pressure on him, but man, you can't put the fight in that position. You can't. No glove up, nothing. I'm talking about he didn't have a glove up. Could have easily, and I'm gonna tell you something else that a lot of guys don't do. He could have easily swung around and threw a wide elbow. If he would just threw an elbow and almost land on his back, he probably could have landed an elbow on Francis or something like that. A lot of guys don't really take shots. This is MMA. You use all your limbs in this sport. You use every limb you got. That's why when people seeing John Jones doing certain things, they're like, "Oh, you can do that." Stuffing on the feet. A lot of guys doing that. What was the other thing John Jones used to do? I forgot. Can't really think of it right now. But yeah, it's a lot of tactics you can do in the MMA ring. But I don't like when guys get in that position and they don't glove up or they don't throw that elbow. Swing an elbow or something. Don't put yourself in a position. Then you got a huge striker like Ngannou. And it was first round KO. Got him up out of there. Put him to sleep. And the referee, I think he was a little late on that because the dude was flat on his face. You know what I'm saying? By the time before Francis threw that last big shot. But it was a good event, though. It was a huge event. I feel like PFL is doing a good job. I like PFL. I really do. It looks like a mix between Bellator and UFC. So I like what PFL is doing. There was some good fights they had on, especially with Cyborg and Ngannou. Those are people that need opportunities. At one point, they weren't the big name or they weren't a talent that was sought after or put on the forefront. They had to work their way up. Look at Cyborg. She's on her fifth promotional company and platform basically, and Ngannou, he's another person who's came from UFC, so he's making his way up. But it was a good event. I feel like they did a good job. This was actually one of my first ones I've seen in a while dealing with PFL, but they did a good job. Some good matchups.